Your country 1039 KGRT. That's Parmalee and Girl in Mine.
Time now for the question of the day.
Yes, my friends, it is Friday, and it's also time for our question of the day. And yep, I'm gonna open up the I guess you could say the Pandora's box of what this might bring forward. But let's talk about tips, okay? Now, in theory, tipping should be something that makes you feel good because you're giving someone a little extra to show your appreciation for their service, the gratuity, because you are grateful for what they've done for you. But most people don't feel good about it because it's become more of an expected or even mandatory surcharge. Yeah, in a new survey by Bankrate, 66% of Americans say that they have a negative view about tipping, mostly because they're annoyed about how it's handled. And you may have noticed this a lot of times. I think I was asked if I wanted to leave a tip on a self-checkout. Yeah, I know. I don't think I get that tip, right? Or the person after me that has to do their self-checkout's not getting that tip. So where does that tip go to exactly? Also, tips in drive-through, that's another thing in there. Even tips on services that you have to choose the tip before you even get that service, like delivery services or anything else like that. And delivery drivers, they could definitely use the tips, use the extra cash, but should you have to choose your tip before you even get that delivery done? I don't know. It's just one of those things where I certainly have noticed it, and apparently 66% of Americans have also noticed this little trend. So my question for you today is, how do you feel about tipping these days? It's not necessarily the same as it used to be. So are you tipping for good service, or is this more of a mandatory kind of surcharge and somebody's getting the money, but it may not necessarily be the person that's there for you? I don't know. What do you think? How do you feel about tipping these days? Go ahead and let me know your answers. You can give me a call on our hotline, 575-523-KGRT. You can also, of course, just send a text message as well. Text messaging is up, 575-523-5478. So you can go ahead and get that done. Or if you would prefer, we are live on our social media pages right now. You can go ahead and leave a comment, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So, let me know your answer. Are you part of that 66% that think that you have a negative view about tipping these days? So how do you feel about tipping? And are you tipping for good service, or is this more of a mandatory extra surcharge on there? I don't know. Let me know your answers to our question of the day. All right, exclusively up on our social media pages right now. And like I said, I've just noticed these things right here. I think the one that annoys me the most, if I order like some food or something like that, does the driver deserve a tip? Yeah. Do I have to choose that tip before the service is on there? It's like, hey, how was your driver? How was everything? Because I've had some bad things happen before. I've had missing items. I've had everything else like that. I even had somebody that went completely to the wrong place, that type of thing. And they still got my tip, right? So that is one of those things that I'm wondering about. What do you feel about that? Is tipping these days, are you actually tipping for good service, or is it more of a mandatory, like, extra surcharge that they're adding on to things? Let me know what you feel by leaving your comments below, or like I said, you can call in or text those in as well. Checking on the text messages, nobody's leaving anything just yet. So we'll go ahead and take a look at what's going on in and around the world this week while we wait for a couple of answers. Coca-Cola launching a new limited edition flavor for gamers called Coca-Cola Ultimate. The drink will be available in stores starting on Monday. Coke won't say what the drink tastes like. Interesting. And I'm wondering just how much caffeine it might have in there, because if it's for gamers, spend a lot of hours with that controller in their hand, or that mouse. Also saw that, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is predicted to earn $70 million during its opening weekend at the box office. We'll see. I mean, I'm an Indiana Jones fan, but that last movie, oof. Ugh. Also saw that Matthew Perry has purchased a $5 million Hollywood Hills, California home. The mid-century modern home was built in 1957 and has 3 bedrooms, a pool, and a fire pit. A 3-bedroom home with a pool, and it's going for $5 million just because it's up in the Hollywood Hills. Interesting. Yeah. And let's see. Entourage star Adrian Grenier and his wife Jordan are now the proud parents of a new baby boy named Seiko Aurelius. That's a cool name. They are happy and made the announcement. So that is awesome. Congratulations to Adrian and his wife, Jordan. And once again, we are looking for answers for the question of the day. How do you feel about tipping these days? Are you tipping for good service, or is it just another mandatory surcharge, right? Annette says that I still feel you should tip for the sake that is their livelihood. Well, I'm not saying I'm negative at tipping, and everybody knows when I was younger, I was a horrible tipper until I became friends with some waitresses and some waiters, and they let me know, yeah, this is this is how much we make an hour, and this is how much we really rely on tips, and that makes a difference right there. It really does. But there are some people that are making minimum wage and they're still getting tips. Amy says tipping for good service, and hopefully you will get that service on there, right? That's what I'm saying. If you're tipping ahead of time for a service that you don't get good service on, that is one of those things. And I know it makes me sound really negative about tipping, but I do believe in tipping, and I do believe that there are those that deserve the tips and the extra cash that they're going to get for some great service. It's just like I said, if you're going through the self checkout at a store or somewhere, and they ask you if you want to leave a tip, come on, really, yeah. Or even the certain amounts that are just kind of put in there arbitrarily for how much tip you want to leave for something like that. That's another one that kind of gets me a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it is just me. I don't know. But go ahead and leave your answers for our question of the day. Oh, Annette responded. She says, I just use Lyft and know what you mean by charging before the ride is over, but I was able to make sure. Yeah. There you go. That's cool. If they allow you to do that, that's great. That is awesome. But, I don't know. Like I said, maybe it is just me. Well, me and 66% of other Americans that feel a little bit negative about how tips are handled these days. I don't know. But to go ahead and leave your answers here. You can leave your comments below. I love checking these out a little bit later on. And let me know your answers for our question of the day. How do you feel about tipping these days? And are you tipping for good service, or is it a mandatory surcharge these days anyway?